श्रीगणेशाय नमः। श्रीसरस्वत्यै नमः। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांशहस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। अन्तर्यश्च बहिर्विधूततिमिरं ज्योतिर्मयं शाश्वतं स्थानं प्राप्य विराजते विनमताम् अज्ञानमुन्मूलयन्। पश्यन् विश्वमपीदमुल्लसति यो विश्वस्य पारे परः तस्मै श्रीरमणाय लोकगुरवे शोकस्य हन्त्रे नमः। Before we begin with today's inquiry and lecture about Upadesh Saar, a small text composed by Ramana Maharshi ji, let us chant all the verses. कर्तुराज्ञया प्राप्यते फलं कर्म किं परं कर्म तज्जडं कृतिमहो दधौ पतनकारणं फलमशाश्वतं गतिनिरोधकम् ईश्वरार्पितं नेच्छया कृतं चित्तशोधकं मुक्तिसाधकं कायवाङ्मनः कार्यमुत्तमं पूजनं जपश्चिन्तनं क्रमात् जगत ईषधीयुक्तसेवनम् अष्टमूर्तिभृद्देवपूजनम् उत्तमस्तवादुच्चमन्दतः चित्तजं जप ध्यानमुत्तमम् आज्यधारया स्रोतसा समं सरलचिन्तनं विरलतः परं भेदभावनात् सोऽहमित्यसौ भावनाभिदा पावनीमता भावशून्यसद्भावसुस्थितिः भावना बलात् भक्तिरुत्तमा हृत्स्थले मनः स्वस्थता क्रिया भक्तियोगबोधाश्च निश्चितं वायुरोधना लीयते मनः जालपक्षिवद्रोधसाधनं चित्तवायवश्चित्क्रियायुताः शाखयोर्द्वयी शक्तिमूलका लयविनाशने उभयरोधने लयगतं पुनर्भवति नो मृतं प्राणबन्धनाल्लीनमानसम् एकचिन्तनान्नाशमेत्यदः नष्टमानसोत्कृष्टयोगिनः कृत्यमस्ति किं स्वस्थितिं यतः दृश्यवारितं चित्तमात्मनः चित्वदर्शनं तत्वदर्शनम् मानसन्तु किं मार्गणे कृते नैव मानसं मार्ग आर्जवात् वृत्तयस्त्वहं वृत्तिमाश्रिताः वृत्तयो मनो विध्यहं मनः अहमयं कुतो भवति चिन्वतः अयि पतत्यहं निजविचारणम् अहमिनाशभाज्यहमहन्तया स्फुरति हृत्स्वयं परमपूर्णसत् इदमहं पदाभिख्यमन्वहम् अहमिलीनकेऽप्यलयसत्तया विग्रहेन्द्रियप्राणधीतमः नाहमेकसत्तज्जडं ह्यसत् सत्त्वभासिका चित्क्ववेतरा सत्तया हि चेच्चित्तया ह्यहम् ईशजीवयोर्वेषधीभिदा सत्स्वभावतो वस्तु केवलम् वेषः नतः स्वात्मदर्शनम् ईशदर्शनम् स्वात्मरूपतः आत्मसंस्थितिः स्वात्मदर्शनम् आत्मनिर्द्वयादात्मनिष्ठता ज्ञानवर्जिता ज्ञानहीनचित् ज्ञानमस्ति किं ज्ञातुमन्तरम् किं स्वरूपमेत्यात्मदर्शने अव्ययाभवात् पूर्णचित्सुखम् बन्धमुक्त्यति परं सुखम् विन्दतीह जीवस्तु दैविकः अहमपेतकम् निजविभानकम् महदिदन्तपो रमणवागियम् अहमपेतकम् निजविभानकम् महदिदन्तपो रमणवागियम् अहमपेतकम् निजविभानकम् महदिदन्तपो रमणवागियम्. After having explained different paths which were Ashtanga Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, etc., the direct means of inquiry into our own true nature has been started by Ramana Maharshi ji through the means of Jnana Yoga. What really Jnana Yoga is doing is, it is trying to address the root cause rather than going for the effects. Even though the Jnana Yoga and Jnana are two different things, but Jnana Yoga's approach is much more direct than the others. What is the approach of Jnana Yoga? How does it approach? We saw it directly asks question about the reality and the nature of the mind. We had seen that we need to inquire what this mind is which is troubling me. Is it not? If we are to conquer any enemy, we need to know who he really is. And then when we inquire into the nature of this mind, manasam tu kim iti margane krute. Naiva manasam. We understand that there is no mind. The mind of which I am so much aware of, afraid of, I am troubled, the mind by which I am bound, that mind itself is not there. But when do I understand this? Only when I inquire into its nature. This is the direct approach. That's why Ramana Maharshi ji says this is Marga Arjavat. This is the simpler way. Of course, this is simple for those who are capable of taking to this inquiry. We have to take into account sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. Such a person who has taken to this inquiry must be better equipped with sadhana chatushtaya, that is viveka, vairagya, shamadhi shatka sampatti and mumukshuta. Why? Because unless we are well equipped with these, we have these qualities in higher quantity. Even though we cannot quantify these, we can understand it in this way. How much vairagya do we have? 10 out of 6 times. 7 times I am able to give up, or I don't get affected, or it is twice or thrice. Depending on that, we can understand, we can self-analyze our viveka, vairagya, etc. So in this way, when we inquire that what is mind, we understand that mind itself is not there. How? How should we know that? Then the analysis started. Understand all the thoughts which are going through your mind. There are two types of thoughts. One thought which is associated with the object, that is Vishaya, and the other one which is associated with the subject, the thinker, the one who has these thoughts. So one is object which is different from me, and one is subject, me, myself, but along with upadhi, conditionings. How do you say so? What do you mean? Simple. Am I thinking or my mind is thinking? Of course, the thinking is done by my mind. And if that is the case, if thinking is done by my mind, if this statement is true, then what that means is I am different from this mind. I am not this mind. So, if I am different from this mind, the I, which is referred to by Upanishads, the I which I continuously experience myself to be, is different from this mind. It is not the thinker. But out of delusion and ignorance, I consider myself to be the one who is thinking and identify with the objects outside. Because I identify with the objects outside initially as thinker, I come in contact with them, and when I come in contact with them, further I superimpose the qualities of those objects on me. How? Understand. When the battle was about to be fought of Mahabharata, in the beginning, Arjuna now has given up. Understand the situation. Arjuna has now given up on war, and he says, no, I am not going to fight. He has given up on war. He drops his weapons and sits down and says, no, I am not going to fight. If we are to imagine a small child throwing tantrums at the feet of his parents. The situation is something like that. Anyways, now what has happened is, if we analyze, Bhagwan Bhashyakar Adi Shankaracharya ji has analyzed this. He says, understand. Do you know, Arjuna's approach here is of a deluded person. What's he doing is, he has forgotten the reason for the war. And what he has confused his enemy to be his own people. Aham esham mama ete. Aham esham, I am theirs. Mama ete, they are mine. This is the confusion. First, he identified himself with them. He created a relation with them initially. And now after having created this relation, what he has done is, Mama, what he is doing is, now he has superimposed their happiness and sorrow on himself. So when he says, if they die, I will be sorrowful, he has superimposed the sorrows and happiness of them. Same thing happens with us. In any relation with all the relatives around us, we have associated with the happiness of theirs, and we feel happy or sorrowful. Okay, at the level of Vyavahara, we may find it's fine. We should come together. Then be sorrowful all the time. It is not that experience. Let me remind you. It is not that experience which matters, but how I identify with that experience later furthermore. If someone hits me, it's going to be painful, no doubt about it. That pain is going to be there. If I am hungry, if I have some injury, then that pain is going to be there. That experience I cannot avoid. Such experiences coming from the world can never be avoided. But all those experiences, when I understand they are coming from the objects outside and I am not identified with them, I am not connected with them from my own Swarupa, from absolute standpoint, then I will never have the emotion, that is sorrow or happiness, associated with that. Yes, if something bad has happened, okay, bad has happened. But then that will not affect me. And because it affects me, I feel sorrowful and I feel happy, and this is our samsara. So, in this way, Ramana Maharshi says there are object thoughts and I thought. I thought is me, aham. And interestingly, everywhere this aham never changes. We saw this with the example. From being a small toddler child to the age at which we are, we have identified with the growth of this body. Is it not? We said, I am a small child, I go to school, I go to college, I am working, I am now old, I am now young, I am old enough to drive. Everything we have identified with. But even throughout all these identifications, we never said I has changed. We never experienced I as changing. If I has changed, understand, if I changes, I into inverted comma changes, then after it changes, the earlier I cannot know the latter one and latter cannot know the earlier one. How? Let me give you an example. There is an experiment which is going on and which requires one continuous observer. Let's say there is a road and a survey is being conducted. They are trying to know how many vehicles pass through that junction. What type of vehicles are those? And how many are those? If that survey is to be conducted, then one person continuously has to be there counting, measuring. How many heavy vehicles are there? How many middleweight vehicles are there, like small trucks, etc. And then how many regular vehicles are there? Then there are two-wheelers, three-wheelers, everything is to be calculated. Now a person A, one person goes and second person comes in his place. Now second person also writes down. Now tell me, will the second person know everything that has the first person observed? Will second person know everything that first person has observed? Never. Why? Because he was not there when the first person was there. So for the second person, whatever that he is seeing will be totally new. That will be the beginning of new set of experiences. For second person who is observing now, it will be a totally new beginning for his set of experiences. For person A, the first person, the new experiences which have come, he will never know. For second person, the first person, what he has experienced, he will not know. If we apply same thing to me as a small child and to me as young adult or adult, if these two were different, then for the adult, his experiences will start when he enters the adulthood, and he will not know anything which has happened in his young age. If those two are different, like in this example, because the observer, the experiencer of the first set of experiences was different than the second. So we need to be understand that both the observers are same. That means if both the observers are same, the one who is observing, that I in our case, I who was a small child, I who was young adult, I who is adult, I am who am I old, all are one and the same. So I has never changed, not I am never changed. I has never changed. This I into inverted comma has never changed. But what has changed? Everything which is being observed by this I, that is objects, idam. Everything, idam, idam, idam. I see this pot. So pot has changed because I as the seer observer of pot will not change, but the pot may change to pencil, a glass, a mug, a jar, a PC, mobile, person, tree, object, any object. With this we can understand that which is common will be the underlying thing, will always be there. That's why it was said, Vrittayaha tu aham vrittimashritah. All these varieties of thoughts are dependent on this I thought, without which none of these can be there, and which is true. All these thoughts, tree, lion, animal, PC, mobile, as we saw, all these thoughts, they can be there only when I am awake or somewhere in dream. And when I say I am awake, only when the I is born, after deep sleep, when I wake up, when this I is born, all the other thoughts are born. Therefore, Ramana Maharshi ji says, all thoughts are dependent, all thoughts are situated, are established in I. And these thoughts alone are mind, nothing else. This thought alone are mind. Mind is nothing but all thoughts put together. That's why this is the famous quotation, watch your thoughts, because thoughts make you who you are. That's our personality. Always be observant. But what Ramana Maharshi ji says is, okay, now don't stop. By the above analysis, earlier analysis, we have understood that the thought I am, this I thought alone is the mind. Let's bottle it down, let's reduce it to this I thought. Okay. Now, the inquiry is not yet over. I want to know what mind is, and I have found the initial answer. This I thought is mind. Okay. But the answer is here, right? What more is there? Let's inquire. We need to understand, it becomes necessary that we need to know what this I thought is. Where has it come from? What is the nature of this I thought? Will it ever die? Is it born? Does it change somewhere? Or it is interdependent? How is it? So, now we need to know who is this I, for which Ramana Maharshi ji says, Ahamayam kuto bhavati chinvatah ayipatatyaham nija vicharanam. 19th verse. Ramana Maharshi ji says, Ahamayam kuto bhavati chinvatah. Ahamayam kutaha bhavati. Ayam aham, This I, kutaha bhavati? From where does it come? From where does this I thought arise? Kutaha bhavati? Iti chinvataha. Chinvataha. The one who inquires. The one who inquires. Thus, from where this I thought comes from. Ayi patatyaham. Ayi aham patati. This I patati drops, gets destroyed, falls, goes away. Nija vicharanam. Nija vicharanam, self-inquiry. This is the inquiry into our own true self. Ask yourself, from where does this I come? Who is this I? And it will start giving you interesting answers. This is a very interesting point. Look, we have come in this inquiry much far. We initially started inquiring into the nature of the objects outside, whatever or experiences that I am having. Let's take the hypothetical example. Let's imagine. Close your eyes. Take deep breaths. Let 2-3 seconds pass. Now, if I ask you, what are you doing? I'm listening to this lecture. Oh, you are listening to this lecture, but listening is an object. Listening to this lecture, listening to this sound, words is an object, and you are the listener. Yes, that's what we learned. So, I am listener. But listening, the listener, is upadhi associated with listening, hearing. So, I am the one who is listening without the listening. Okay. Now, the I that we are aware of is ready to associate with anything else. And now it is associating with itself. I. Aham. Now what it is doing is, because it has nothing to identify with outside, from any other outside source, it has created its own source within the mind. We are looking at the practical approach. We are not yet analyzing the verse. Now, in such a way, when we start analyzing and inquiring, we come to know, yes, this I is different. There is something different about this I. Aham, this I thought. Me. Whenever I say, aham, I am. I am. Now this I am is kind of afraid and agitated. Why? Because this I is always associated with something else, and it feels that only when it is associated with something else, his existence will be there, his existence will continue. In simple words, what we are inquiring into is our ego, ahankara. We are inquiring into our ahankara, this I, whatever that we are associated with, and we consider ourselves consider the dearest, most favorite, the closest, which is, if that is hurt, we feel hurt. How can he say to me like this? Does he consider me to be a fool? I am so much capable of doing so many things, and yet he treats me like I am a child. N number of things. Is it not? This I, now we are inquiring into. The ahankara. Now this I thought, this one too will disappear. No, no, no. Don't allow it to disappear. If this disappears, how will I survive? I will die. That's what happens in death. No. If you really inquire, you will understand this I always goes away and comes back. Don't worry about it. When in deep sleep. Let's take this example. You went to sleep. You are happily sleeping. And somebody suddenly wakes you up. When somebody suddenly wakes you up, what do you ask? Where am I? This experience is not always there, but sometimes it's there. When you suddenly wake up, you ask, where am I? Why? What happened? Because of that suddenly waking up, you kind of have forgotten where you went to sleep. Or if you see a terrible dream, nightmare, something, you suddenly wake up and it takes some time to realize that you are in your own house, in your own bed. Where was this I in deep sleep? Where there were no dreams at all. So this I, the ahankara, is always born when you wake up and goes to laya, temporary dissolution in deep sleep. That's why in the text Drigdrishya Viveka, there it is said, what is Jagrat and Swapna and Sushupti? Ahankara laye suptau bhaved dehopyachetanaha ahankara vikasarthaha swapnas sarvastu jagaraha. Everything is associated with this I, ahankara, ego. When this ahankara goes to laya, dissolution, it stops functioning. We go to sleep. When it is partially awake, when it is partially functioning, that is the state of dream. That's why ahankara does not have control over mind, and because it does not have any control over mind, the dreams are hazy and weird. Weird as in they have no connection with reality. And then when ahankara is fully awake, fully functional, that is the state of waking. That's our waking state. This I is continuously underlying, composing our mind. This I, from where is it born? Kutaha bhavati. So, for this I to be born, there has to be some cause. Somewhere it must have been born. Where was it? Ahamkara. Ahankaroti. That who says I. Who will be his parents? What is the source of his birth? Where has it come from? Okay. So, when I go to sleep, when I am asleep, in deep sleep, it's not there. And when I wake up, it comes back. So when I go to sleep, that ahankara also undergoes temporary dissolution. When I come back, I wake up, it also comes back. So its origin must be somewhere in deep sleep. Now what should I do? Let's do one thing. Let me go to sleep now and observe. Don't think it in this way. If you go to sleep, your ahankara is also going to go to sleep and you are not going to observe anything. Oh, but then how do I know that I went to sleep? Now, if this ahankara is absent in deep sleep, is it not? If this ahankara is absent in deep sleep, so ahankara is not there available for experience, or ahankara is not experiencing deep sleep. Then when he wakes up, how does he know? Good question. If we go along with our earlier analysis, did we not say this this I or observer has to be there continuously to know the differences, the changes between the three states or different states, the one which was earlier and later. To know the differences between these two states, the earlier and later, the observer has to be continuously there. Now, if in deep sleep the ahankara is not there, how will and if the person who wakes up knows that he went to sleep, he was asleep and he did not know anything. Let me repeat. We are going through the experiences of three different states: waking, dream, and deep sleep. Now, if we are to know all these three states, we have to be present in all these three states. Okay, accepted? Okay. Now, if we are to be present in all these three states, next line, next statement, and ahankara is missing in deep sleep, then someone else who is different from ahankara has to be there throughout all these three states to make us know that I went to sleep. To make us know I went to sleep, and the person who is waking up is the same person who went to sleep. If that is to be known, the person who went to sleep and the person who has woken up, both these persons are same. If this is to be known, what do we need to do? We need to know what does this indicate? It indicates that there is someone different from ahankara who is always present. Oh, so that must be me. Yes, but don't confuse ahankara with that. Don't ever confuse, and we all the time confuse. That's our problem. So somewhere now I have idea where this ahankara is coming from. From where is it coming? If it is coming from deep sleep, and if deep sleep is associated with ignorance, this ahankara must be coming from ignorance. This ahankara, this I, must be born of ignorance. Yes. This ahankara, this I, which is not true I, is born of ignorance, and it identifies with everything else. First, this ahankara associates with the objects, everything, etc., and considers itself to be observer, ego, knower, everything. and then associates with the objects which are known. Karta, bhokta, he becomes enjoyer, experiencer. But this I am not. So Ramana Maharshi ji urges to inquire from where this ahankara arises, comes. What is the result of this inquiry? We understand this ahankara is the product of ignorance. The conclusion is this ahankara, if it is not always there, then it is not real. Because the definition of reality is one and the same throughout Vedanta. What is real? That which exists in all three periods of time is real. Everything else is relatively real or furthermore mithya or tuchha, totally non-existent, etc. If ahankara is not there in deep sleep, ahankara undergoes laya, then what does that mean? Ahankara is relatively real. Okay. As a result of such an inquiry, the ahankara which is produced due to ignorance, this ahankara gets destroyed. Why? Now we have pulled the carpet under his feet. He has nowhere to stand upon. He has nowhere else to go. And when this ahankara goes away, who we truly are gets revealed to us. Now don't imagine there is a door which is opening and the burst of white light is coming towards you and you are being revealed your own swarupa. We are very quick to jump to such conclusion and imaginations. Unfortunately, don't. We are who we are. That's it. And that's the state that is to be experienced into inverted comma, not experienced like experiencing an object, but experiencing our own true nature, own true swarupa. That's what is being said. Ramana Maharshi ji says in the next verse, 20th verse, Ahaminashabhajyahamahantaya Spuratirutsvayam Paramapurnasat. Ramana Maharshi ji says, Ahami Nashabhaji. Ahami. The word aham itself has been declined here. Sati Saptami. Bhava Saptami. Otherwise. This I, ahankara, when Nashabhaji, when it gets destroyed, aham ahantaya, as I, Spurati Rutsvayam. Spurati shines forth. Rut, the heart. Rut, heart. Swayam, Swayam, of its own. The one's own. Paramapurna Sat. Paramapurna Sat, the supreme, infinite existence. It will shine forth. When this ego, ahankara, gets destroyed, the self which is supreme, pure consciousness, bliss, infinite, etc., the pure consciousness principle, the pure I, the my own true self, that shines forth of its own, independently as I, and not as something associated as ahankara. There is a very beautiful bhajan a Bengali bhajan, very much associated with the mm, story of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Shri Vivekananda ji in their uh, uh, interaction. Somewhere it comes, or maybe this is the composition which was loved by Swami Vivekananda ji. The composition goes, the initial part is Nahi Suryo Nahi Jyoti Nahi Shashanko Sundara. A very beautiful composition. It has very much deeper meaning. It is not as simple as it appears. But there, this same thing has been expressed. Aham Shrote Nirantara. All this entire world will merge into this I. The whole composition is explaining, talking about Nirvikalpa Samadhi Avastha, the Swarupa Avastha. In that, nothing is there, neither there is sun nor the moon, nothing. No light, external source of light is there. Neither there is lamp, there is nothing. What else is there? What is there? Aham Srote. Only this I alone will be there. And this I is not going to be as experiencer nor enjoyer. So, during your meditation, during the observing or manana, nididhyasana, etc., anytime this ahankara is trying to identify with something or identifying with itself as knower, etc., being aware, etc., inquiry is not yet complete. It's just being there. That's it. To say that this also is aham, I also is a fallacy, but there are no words available to express. That's why this arrangement. Ramana Maharshi is saying, when this ahankara it gets destroyed, ahaminashabhaji. The destruction of the ego does not mean, understand one thing, destruction of the body, mind and intellect. But this destruction is of the notion that I am this body. Very important point. This destruction is of the I notion in this body, mind, etc., the ego, the ajnana. Now, what is this true self? Who is this I? Who is this Chaitanya? What is this Chaitanya? What is this supreme pure consciousness, bliss, etc., which gets revealed to me when ahankara is destroyed? For that, we need to do some analysis. So far, we have seen the two meanings of I. One is the pure self, that is Chaitanya, my own true nature, and ahankara, in common parlance, the ego. Now, this sense of I-ness is felt only in this body. We associate with this body. I am a man, I am a woman, I am a child, all these. Then now, this identification grows and I identify with my relatives, my community, my country, slowly. Now, the joys and sorrows of all these I have identified with. We are just reiterating whatever that we have seen, but this is very much important. Those joys and sorrows are felt by me too. Why? Because I have identified with that. How can it be so? Simple. If there, how many people die every day, every second? This is the truth of the world. Then why am I not sorrowful all the time? Because I have nothing to do with the people they have died. How can you say? They are your own countrymen. They are your own people. Yes, but they are not related to me. My happiness is not dependent on them. My sorrow is not This is the reason. They are not the source of happiness and sorrow for me, so their death has no effect on me. The people I associate with, in the sense I am dependent on them for my happiness and sorrow, gone. This is what ego does. This is our ego, ahankara. How much ever we try to de-identify, we continuously go on identifying. Why? We don't know how to not identify with them. So, what to do? Ramana Maharshi says in the 21st verse, idamaham padabhikhyamannvaham ahamilinake pyalaya sattaya. Ramana Maharshi ji has brought additional I into this equation. He says, idam aham pada bhikkhamanvaham. Idam aham pada abhikhyam. He says, idam, this, aham pada abhikhyam, that which is indicated by aham. That which is indicated by aham. Anu aham. Anu paschat, following. Aham, the I. This I is referring to Jiva, or merger of individual. Idam aham pada bhikkhamanvaham ahamilinake. When this total I or also merges, that is the Ishvara. Alaya sattaya, due to the indestructible nature of its I. Now, bear with me. This is the uniqueness of this composition. It has very short sentences. Many things you have to take up and add, because the original composition is in Tamil and it has been translated into Sanskrit later. So anyways, what is being said here is, following, after we get merged, our ahankara gets merged into pure consciousness, what happens is the Ishvara, the total I, that also gets merged, and the self, which is known as true I, shines due to its indestructible nature. So Jivatva goes, Ishwaratva goes, everything goes away. Now, Let's understand why this explanation. If we inquire as a third person into the nature of this world, we come across three major things. If we boil down everything, there are three things. One is Jiva, other one is Jagat, and the third one is Ishvara. What are these? Simple. The one who is experiencing this creation, I, Jiva, this creation, that is Jagat, and the one who created this Jagat, who is Ishvara. Now, if we inquire into the nature of Ishvara, who this Ishvara is, it is the total I. The total I. Sum and total of all our Ahankara is Ishvara. We are not going to go into the details of how that calculation works, but understand the total I at totality level is Ishvara, but he controls Maya. That's why he is not affected by Maya. Okay. But as long as Ishvara is there, the creation is going to be there, and I as Jiva, I am going to be there. So I am this I as Jiva, the total I as Ishvara, they both are there, and this Jagat is there. Now what do? Because of ignorance, I consider myself to be different from Jagat, different from Ishvara. Furthermore, I consider that Jagat is different from Ishvara. Ishvara is not there everywhere in the Jagat, he is somewhere else. And further, what I say is, objects in this Jagat are different from each other. So out of ignorance, I say there is difference between Jiva and Jiva, me and you. There is difference between me and this Jagat, me and this entire creation. There is a difference between me and Ishvara. There is difference between the two objects between this entire creation. The creation is different from Ishvara. In this way, I have created 5 differences. All these on account of ignorance. When I inquire into the nature of the mind, Jagat part has gone away. Why? Because mind alone is Jagat, objects outside. What we are left out with is Ahankara, whether at the total level or individual level, at Jiva or Ishvara. When I inquire into its nature, I understand that also is born of ignorance. So when these two I, when they go away, when they all are destroyed, merged where? Back to its own Swarupa. When I know their ephemeral, temporary, transient nature, what is left is my own true self, which is indestructible, which can never goes away. That I, Aham, shines forth. Ahamilina kyapi alaya, indestructible, sattaya, on account of being indestructible. This I will shine forth. It will express itself as I. Now, it was said that in 19th verse in the early when ego is destroyed when one inquires into its true nature, from where it comes, its birthplace. Now again in detail we are going to inquire, or we are going to see. Ramana Maharshi is going to explain how this inquiry is to be conducted. What are the multiple facets? What are the parts? How I should analyze in my mind and come to my own true Swarupa. The detailed analysis we will see in our next lecture. Om असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतंगमय ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम।